Welcome to A Day with FMZ, a global initiative to bring in leadership perspective and also education series and education bites to contribute to the fraternity, sharing the knowledge, bringing the leaders' perspective. And today we have Arun Kumar S L, who is having about 22 years of experience in the industry. Welcome, Arun. And I also have my co-host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun, for joining us.
Thank you, Arun,
Thank
for
you.
taking out time and sharing your experience. You've been seeing this industry from last 2 decades. So, can you just tell us a brief about your journey as an FM and how did this industry transit and transform in last 2 decades?
Sure. Thank you so much. So let me begin with firstly, thank you so much, IFMA. Thank you so much, Vinay, Lisa, in particular, for taking your time to converse with me. I'm so super excited. This is my first interview in the IFMA and on the FM fraternity. Thank you so much once again. To just to let you know about my journey of 2+ decades in the 2 decades in the industry, in the FM industry. I started my career as a finance person in 1996, and until 2000, I was part of the finance team and managing the finance activities. Starting from 2000, I got an opportunity to move to an administration role in the before 2000, 2002, 3. It was called in specific as an administration, and then the asset management. So I have seen the journey in this industry starting from an administration, asset management, and then the facilities management, and then the workplace services. So it's a kind of a journey with different names to the function, but the same function. And also have seen through how the importance of this function has become bigger and bigger, wider and wider in any organization. So that's the background to the experience that I have in the FM world. But it's interesting. I had some great opportunities to work with some great leader, great organizations, and great people, and also a great colleagues. Everybody were part of this successful journey. There was some great learning, some great experience to share with the organization that I have worked for, and some great learning with the different companies that I have acquired and I have learned from the top leaders from the industry. And as an India head or as an India lead, have been for about last 12 years in the various organizations, and it's a phenomenal change that has happened from a facilities integrated facility management to a facilities management, and then now to a workplace services. It's basically we have become a great program managers in making sure that um, everything works uprightly and absolutely without any kind of a downtime, and ensuring a great human touch, great human experience always in the organizations that we have worked for. That's the journey, Vinay and Lisa.
That's fabulous. That workplace services is becoming the new thing and much more important, so integrated. You implement some of your initiatives on a global stage. So, what are some of the key challenges that you have in planning workplace services across geographic and cultural boundaries, and how do you manage for those?
So, firstly, in the last decade, definitely, I guess as in a country, we have got a great opportunities to collaborate with the global teams, and then work on the global platforms and bring in the global vendors, and making sure that we have one strong platform working across the organization for the workplace services or the integrated FM services, right? There were a lot of challenges in terms of I don't want to call it as challenge. It was a great experience in terms of when you're meeting the great global vendor partners, global innovations, bringing them back to the our offices and making sure that that integration works well. The performance of that IoT or the innovation that we are trying to implement, the outcome of the IoT or the innovation outcome of the IoT is absolutely performance as needed. So these were some of the important outcomes of the innovation. But the challenges were the language barriers was some of the challenges. Having the local vendor partners presence, and the kind of services. Some vendor partners are extremely good in some of the innovations as a product, and they may not be extremely good in terms of the services when it comes to services. So ensuring that you have the right vendor partners who have the product capability but also have the services capability in India, that was a kind of a first challenge, number one. Number two, there is always a great price difference. If you're talking to a global vendor partner and a competitive vendor partner in the our own locations, there's absolutely a lot of price difference, and that was in a second call that we have to make a good call, or a kind of a great decision in terms of what really works well, what kind of an ROI, what kind of an performance that the product has to be deliver end of the day. So these were some of the important challenges that I had to face when I'm doing the discussions with the global vendor partners in terms of the any technology integrations or the any kind of an developments from an innovation point of view.
Thank you,
Great.
Arun. I think well touched upon it. One of the biggest challenge I think we faced when there was a huge transition of services or companies being set up in different countries was a cultural challenge, as well as the geographical challenges, which are local challenges. I think the key from a FM point is typically centralization and decentralization. Now, what mode we want to operate, how do we want to operate, what are the best practices, and now everything is become globalized. I think the standards are becoming
Absolutely.
pretty much across the industry, and also inclusivity and diversity to ensure that there is a centralization and decentralization. It also gives enough sufficient power for the regional companies to operate. I think that is where the challenges, I would say, like opportunities for everybody to evolve. And today we are, I would say that we are more mature than what we were 1 or 2 decades
Absolutely.
ago. Like,
Absolutely, you're
so if
right,
you have
Lisa.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you have to look at the change, right? For example, the this you we also discussed about a transition of an FM industry. So what are the some of the most important changes that you have made in the workplace services in the past few years?
Uh, so, as I told you, FM function plays a bigger role in the organization. We manage a great amount of services in the backend for any organization. There are very important functions like either it could be a critical asset management, or ensuring there is a business continuity plan, ensuring that all the services are uptime and things like that. What the From my point of view, what great contributions or what some phenomenal contributions that I notice that are noticeable and that I always cherish about is, I always focused and continued to build a great user experience in the last decade. Always I ensured that how do you increase the employee morale, how do you increase the user experience, how do you make sure that that FM function stands out in the support function. So that's one. Number two, strong relationship with the stakeholders. End of the day, your stakeholders have to be happy. Your stakeholders need to see a validation from your function. So how do you ensure that you become a valuable partner? How do you make sure that your stakeholder are communicated constantly and with the adequate information, adequate data, what exactly that they needed? That's number two. Number three, just not from a function point of view, what we are delivering for the business, but also ensuring that there are right teams available, building the team capability, building the team capacities, and building the delivery structure best in class. So that was an other one that I really cherish always for building a strong teams. Beyond all these things, I'm always having a passionate of innovation and technology. How do I move from a manual process? How do I bring in some technology? How do I bring in some innovations? How do I integrate that with the manual process currently that we are operating? So that was another great contribution that I think that I have seen, which has worked really well, and I feel really happy about it.
Thank you. I love the list, and the technology really is getting a growing role in how we manage our workplaces. So it's important to be tuned into that. As a change manager, what is the very, very most important advice that you would give to a facility professional leading rapidly changing workplace services?
Great question, Lisa. From purely from my experience point of view, uh, celebrate success and keep looking forward. Firstly, we need to be keep celebrating our success. We need to be keep looking forward. Then, okay, stay flexible. Stay flexible with the long-term plan, long-term vision. Make sure that you always be flexible in the environment, right, that you are in. Adapt yourself to the changes. I mean, you should be so much okay to recipient to the changes. You have to be adaptive to the changes that are happening. Keep innovating. You need to be keep innovating. You need to be keep understanding that how do you move forward, like we spoke about technology integrations and things like that. Follow through your plans. You should always have a plan in place. That's very, very important. If you don't have a plan, it will not be a great success. Bring in the right resources to help the change, to drive the change. Man, you need to have the right resources. It could be people, it could be innovation, it could be leadership, whatever it is. Actually, you need to have the right resources right in place, right on time. With all these things, one of the most key thing, that communication is the most important piece. Keep talking to your stakeholders, keep telling your managers, keep telling your leadership team, hey, this is what it is, this is how it is. um, Communication is a cornerstone, actually. Okay, it's a very key thing. We need to be always communicative and right on time with adequate information, adequate data. That's another important one.
Excellent. I love the reminder to celebrate the successes. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. I think you covered it, given a comprehensive view of typically transition of an FM industry, and I think what is future. And as you also said, like last 1 decade, you're focusing on customer. I think what has happened is we are moving away from a cost centric to customer centric, because
Absolutely.
innovation can only happen when there is a focus on employees. So today, wellness has become the topmost priority in the organization. Today, most of the companies are getting people back to work. They are bringing in innovative thoughts and ideas. And FM is not just a facility manager today. He is a business enabler, working with the business
Absolutely.
units, business groups, business leaders to understand the requirement, and also contributing to the efficiency of space, not just a space, efficiency of people, right? Increasing productivity, and technology is going to be driving the future of FM, and
Absolutely.
cultural changes. And today, I can say that though we interact, work with the multiple global leaders, I think everybody talks the same language. That means we come to a stage where everything has been globalized. With the localization plus a globalization, I think the practices have been spread across. We are trying to implement the best practices across different locations, and we have seen a huge transition and transformation. And thank you for sharing your experience, and would love to have you again in the leadership series. Thank you, Lisa,
Absolutely.
and thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more leadership series. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Lisa.